Ben Affleck's love life has always played out like a Hollywood saga, full of glamour, passion, and plot twists worthy of the silver screen. In his early days, he was the dashing young Oscar winner with a heart prone to falling hard. He tasted youthful love with a fellow A-list starlet in the late 90s, a romance that burned bright and fizzled fast. That heartbreak left him aching for something real, something enduring. But nothing could prepare him for the firestorm that began when Jennifer Lopez stepped into his life. One chance meeting on a film set ignited a connection so electric it spawned a media frenzy. Suddenly, Bennifer was born. Hollywood's it couple, splashed across every magazine cover, their every move tracked by eager paparazzi and swooning fans. Ben and J.Lo's first whirlwind romance in the early 2000s was as dazzling as it was dramatic. He wooed her with pink diamonds and public affection, appearing in her music video and on red carpets with megawatt smiles. They were young, beautiful, and deeply in love, a fairy tale for the tabloids. Engagement came swiftly, complete with a 6-carat rosy diamond ring and plans for a lavish wedding. But the spotlight's heat was blistering. The couple couldn't step outside without a camera flash or a feverish headline speculating on their every whisper. As the wedding date approached, pressure mounted, rumors swirled about prenuptial jitters and prying paparazzi intruding on private moments. In a shocking twist, just days before the ceremony, they postponed the nuptials, citing the overwhelming media attention. The public was stunned. What happened to the storybook ending? By early 2004, the dream had unraveled. Bennifer was no more. Jennifer Lopez, the once radiant bride-to-be, returned the ring, and Ben was left with a broken heart on full display for the world. Reeling from that very public heartbreak, Ben retreated from the flashbulbs and found an unexpected refuge in a different Jennifer, Jennifer Garner, his co-star from a past film. What began as friendship blossomed into something steady and genuine. In Garner's warm, grounded presence, Ben found the normalcy and stability he desperately craved. The two wed in 2005 on a sun-kissed Caribbean beach, far from prying eyes, and soon welcomed children. For a while, it seemed like Ben had finally found his happily ever after. Gone were the circus-like premieres and gossip headlines. Life with Garner was relatively quiet and homey. They'd stroll with their kids hand in hand, grabbing ice cream on Sunday afternoons, a picture of domestic bliss that made fans' hearts melt. Ben often gushed that he'd hit the jackpot with a woman who was both down to earth and his rock during tough times. With her, he said, he could be just Ben, not a tabloid caricature. It appeared that the Hollywood heartthrob had traded the wild roller coaster of celebrity romance for a steady, loving family life. Before we get back to our content, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Max Digital Edge, proudly supporting this channel. Max Digital Edge offers a proven system to build your own AI automation agency and earn your first $5,000 in just 3 days. Their comprehensive course provides a step-by-step guide to harness artificial intelligence for automating business processes and boosting your online income, all from the comfort of home. Discover how Max Digital Edge helps you work smarter and achieve financial freedom. Click the link in the description to get started today. Now let's jump back into the video. But behind the scenes, not everything was as perfect as it appeared. As years passed, cracks began to show. Ben's long battle with personal demons, particularly alcohol, resurfaced, testing their marriage. He tried to keep his struggles private, but the gossip mill churned out stories of him sneaking off to casinos and looking bleary-eyed on nights out. Garner stood by him through the storms, even as it grew more challenging. In 2015, whispers of a nanny scandal exploded into headlines, an allegation that Ben had grown too close to the young woman caring for their children. Garner, ever graceful, downplayed the incident publicly, but the damage was done. The trust between them frayed under the weight of betrayal rumors and Ben's ongoing fight with addiction. Paparazzi snapped photos of a somber Ben on the curb, wedding ring off, puffing a cigarette with a haunted expression, images that quickly became internet memes of sad Affleck. It was clear this was a man grappling with regret. By 2015, Jennifer Garner and Ben announced their separation, ending a decade-long union that had once seemed unshakable. True to their characters, the split was amicable on the surface. Garner even drove Ben to rehab in 2018, a show of support for the father of her children despite their differences. She later quipped about his infamous midlife crisis tattoo, a gigantic phoenix emblazoned across his back with a wry smile, joking, "Am I the ashes in this scenario? I refuse to be." Through it all, she remained the calm, steady force in his life, even as their romantic chapter closed. When their divorce was finalized, Hollywood sighed. The good guy movie star and the wholesome TV sweetheart had been one of Tinseltown's most beloved pairs. Now Ben was single again, and the gossip columns buzzed with curiosity. Which direction would his heart take next? Newfound freedom led Ben into a period of soul-searching and, admittedly, some stumbling. There were brief flings that kept his name in the tabloids' rotation. A passionate but short-lived romance with a bright-eyed TV producer became gossip fodder after they were spotted canoodling at a VIP after-party, a fling that fizzled almost as quickly as it began. Then came a headline-making rebound with a young Playboy model whose wild nights out with Ben had tongues wagging and paparazzi cameras flashing overtime. Each time, insiders wondered if the charming actor was simply trying to fill the void left by the love he'd lost, or if he was spinning out of control. The relationships were fleeting and never serious enough to bring Ben the peace he yearned for. Then, in early 2020, a new spark arrived on set. Ana de Armas, a stunning Cuban actress almost 20 years his junior, who co-starred with Ben in a thriller film. Their chemistry quickly transcended the screen. Soon, the two were inseparable, photographed on leisurely dog walks and coffee runs during Los Angeles' quiet pandemic mornings. For a moment, it looked like Ben had rediscovered that giddy, butterflies in the stomach kind of love. He appeared happier, often seen laughing and holding Anna's hand as if without a care in the world. Fans on social media swooned over the photogenic couple. Their matching smiles and casual, loved-up outings were a welcome feel-good story. She even joined him on family dog walks with the kids, signaling how smitten he was. But as spring turned to winter, the flame began to dim. By early 2021, after about a year together, Ben and Anna parted ways. Some whispered that she wanted to start a family while he felt his hands were full with his 3 kids. Others said the pandemic. Romance simply ran its course once the world reopened. Whatever the case, Ben found himself alone again, wondering if he'd ever get love right. Just when it seemed like Ben's romantic life had settled into a quieter, if lonelier groove, fate dealt one of its most dramatic cards yet. In April 2021, nearly 17 years after their first fairy tale imploded, Jennifer Lopez waltzed back into his world. It started innocently. A few text messages, then secret meetings, rekindling a connection that had never truly died. J.Lo had recently ended her engagement to a famous athlete, and Ben, freshly single, was a shoulder to lean on. What began as friendly catch-ups quickly sparked into full-blown passion. The world watched in disbelief as Bennifer 2.0 emerged from the ashes of the past. The couple was spotted on a luxurious getaway in Montana, and suddenly it was 2002 all over again. Tabloids scrambling for every photo, fans losing their minds with excitement at the ultimate second-chance romance. It felt like watching a sequel to a blockbuster film, one everyone thought would never get made. Older, maybe wiser, but every bit as in love, Ben and J.Lo became the it couple once more, dominating headlines throughout 2021 as if nearly 2 decades hadn't passed. By the following year, their reunion had accelerated into something even they hadn't anticipated. In spring 2022, Ben got down on one knee, again, presenting Jennifer with an emerald-cut green diamond, a nod to her favorite color, and perhaps a symbol of luck for their do-over. She said yes again, and this time, they wasted no time. In July 2022, the pair slipped away for a midnight wedding in Las Vegas, exchanging vows in a low-key surprise ceremony with only their kids and closest loved ones bearing witness. A month later, they hosted a grander celebration at Ben's estate, where Jennifer floated down the aisle in a white Ralph Lauren gown, and Ben looked on teary-eyed, full of hope. It was the climax of a love story 20 years in the making, 2 stars who found their way back to each other, older and determined to make it work, come hell or high water. The public ate it up, rooting hard for Bennifer's happily ever after, convinced this time the ending would be different. For a while, it seemed like the universe had righted a cosmic wrong. Ben and Jennifer blended their families, her twins and his 3 children, into one big, modern family unit. They spent Sundays at the farmer's market, attended each other's premieres arm in arm, and even got matching tattoos for Valentine's Day to signify their commitment. His and hers infinity symbols entwined with their names. On the surface, it was a picture of bliss. 2 superstars defying the odds and writing their own second-chance love story. But behind the glamorous Instagram posts and radiant red carpet appearances, real life began to intrude. combining two big lives and two bigger personalities was no small feat. They had heated disagreements over living arrangements, with months of house hunting and renovations becoming a stress point. Ben's laid-back, sometimes brooding demeanor clashed at times with Jennifer's intense perfectionist energy. Friends whispered that Ben, who had always been a bit introverted and weary of the spotlight, sometimes felt overwhelmed by J.Lo's mega-celebrity world, where every moment was a show and tell. The first public hint of trouble came in February 2023 at the Grammy Awards. Jennifer was a glitzy presenter, and Ben dutifully attended as her date, dressed to the nines. But as cameras panned to the couple in the audience, eagle-eyed viewers noticed Ben's distant, tired expression. He wasn't smiling or schmoozing, he looked miserable. In stark contrast, J.Lo was vivacious and engaged. The footage went viral within minutes, sparking a million tweets and TikToks. Suddenly, sad Affleck was back, memified as the husband who'd rather be anywhere else. Lip readers and body language experts on gossip sites dissected a brief, tense exchange between the two caught on camera. J.Lo's narrowed eyes and Ben's curt response suggested a lover's quarrel mid-show. The couple laughed it off the next day, with Jennifer insisting they had a great time and Ben quipping that his resting face was misleading. But the seed was planted. Behind the Hollywood glamour, maybe all was not perfectly well in paradise. Over the next year, insiders leaked tidbits that the reunited lovers had their share of clashes. They were both alphas in their own way, and neither shy about speaking their mind. There were reports of shouting matches behind closed doors over everything from scheduling conflicts to Ben's occasional smoking habit that Jen hated. One paparazzi video caught them leaving a Beverly Hills restaurant where Ben, looking a bit agitated, opened the car door for Jennifer with perhaps more force than chivalry, then rubbed his temple in frustration once he thought cameras weren't looking. These little moments added fuel to a growing fire of gossip that the couple's fairy tale was cracking under real-world pressures. Still, whenever breakup rumors surfaced, Bennifer would step out the next day looking cozy and united, a kiss here, a hand on the back there, signaling that they were in it for the long haul. They genuinely seemed to love each other deeply, and both had matured since their first go-around, trying hard to avoid past mistakes. Fans hoped they could weather the storm. After all, true love deserves a second chance, right? That's why the next development shocked everyone. In the summer of 2024, just 2 years after saying "I do," Jennifer Lopez made a dramatic decision. She filed for divorce from Ben Affleck, and she did it on August 20th, a date that astute observers noted was exactly their 2-year wedding anniversary. The news hit like a thunderbolt on a clear day. How could this Hollywood love story, resurrected against all odds, fall apart so fast? Initial reports were sparse on details. Some insiders claimed the couple had been arguing non-stop in the months prior, unable to agree on fundamental things like where to live or how to balance their busy careers with family time. Others pointed to Ben's ongoing struggles with anxiety and sobriety. Being thrust back into the relentless spotlight alongside a global icon might have been harder on him than he'd anticipated. Jennifer, ever the superstar, was said to be frustrated that Ben sometimes withdrew from her whirlwind lifestyle. There were also whispers that blending their families had been harder than expected. 5 kids, 2 ex-spouses, and careers on different coasts created constant friction. Whatever the reasons, by that fateful August, J.Lo had reached a breaking point. Without fanfare, she walked into an L.A. courthouse and quietly filed papers to end their marriage, listing a separation date in the spring. To those on the outside, it felt sudden and out of the blue. To those close to the couple, it had been a long time coming. The fallout was as juicy as you'd imagine. Headlines blared, "Bennifer no more," again, and late-night hosts couldn't resist joking about how Ben managed to lose the same woman twice. Tabloids speculated endlessly. Was there a dramatic final fight? Did Ben relapse? Did Jennifer's X Factor, her many past loves, spook him? One particularly sensational story claimed Jennifer was fed up with finding out Ben had been confiding in none other than Jennifer Garner. Indeed, as the dust settled, paparazzi cameras caught Ben and Garner meeting up more frequently, exchanging the kids at school, sharing a quick hug in the driveway, even grabbing a coffee and chatting in the car for a while. These ostensibly innocent co-parenting moments were spun into a narrative that Garner was the shoulder to cry on for Ben as his marriage to J.Lo crumbled. Word got back to J.Lo, and she was reportedly furious. To her, seeing cozy photos of Ben with his ex-wife so soon after their separation was like salt in a wound. Lopez, sources said, felt disrespected and even suggested that Garner's constant presence had been a lingering third wheel in their marriage. Of course, those close to Garner insisted she had no interest in rekindling anything romantic. She was simply being a supportive mom and friend, as she'd always been. In fact, Garner had a long-term boyfriend of her own and seemed perfectly content. But in the court of public opinion, a spicy narrative was too good to pass up. The image of the two Jennifers, almost at odds over Ben, made for irresistible gossip. As summer turned to fall, the once inseparable Bennifer quietly went their separate ways. Jennifer Lopez, ever resilient, poured herself into work, filming a new movie and throwing herself into her music, determined not to let heartbreak slow her down. Ben, for his part, kept a lower profile. He focused on his children, attended school events and soccer games, and was often seen grabbing Dunkin' Donuts, his favorite, alone, looking contemplative. Friends said he was devastated that his fairy tale second chance slipped away and that he was truly trying to get his life in balance, hitting the gym, staying sober, and going to therapy. There were no immediate rebounds this time, no new starlet on his arm by winter. It seemed this breakup cut deeper than those before. In candid moments, Ben would tell pals that he was determined not to fail this time, not as a father, not as a man. And intriguingly, some insiders whispered that losing Jennifer Lopez made him realize something profound. The love of his life might have been Jennifer Garner all along. He began to appreciate anew the woman who had stood by him for years and never truly left his corner. Of course, Garner, ever gracious, wasn't about to disrupt her own happiness or jump back into a romance that had run its course. But the strengthened friendship between them was evident to anyone paying attention. They spent last Thanksgiving together with their kids, and Ben was even spotted dropping by Garner's home just to talk, something that would have been unthinkable in the height of Bennifer 2.0. Now, in 2025, Ben Affleck finds himself at a crossroads that feels equal parts familiar and surreal. He's a leading man without a leading lady, a romantic who's loved and lost in very public ways more than once. His journey has been a roller coaster, the highest of highs, red-hot romances, passionate reunions, storybook weddings, and the lowest of lows, scandal, addiction struggles, and heartbreaking splits. Through each chapter, the world has watched with rapt attention, as if tuning in to an addictive drama full of cliffhangers. And Ben's love life has delivered exactly that. Unexpected twists? He's had them in spades. Who could have predicted that nearly 20 years after calling off their first engagement, he and J.Lo would not only reunite but marry, only to divorce 2 years later, or that his demure beloved ex-wife Garner would re-enter the narrative as an unwavering pillar of support, sparking rumors that the first Mrs. Affleck might also be the last woman truly in his heart? It's the kind of plot development that even Hollywood would call a bit too much if it weren't all true. In the dramatic resolution of this chapter of Ben's life, there's a sense that he has come full circle. The boyish actor who once hopped from one high-profile romance to another has matured into a man who knows the value of a steady love, even if he's still searching for it. He's made mistakes and owned up to them in the public eye. He's chased what he thought he wanted, only to realize it slipping away again. Yet, through the triumphs and failures, Ben Affleck remains ever hopeful, a true romantic at heart. As he stands on the balcony of his Los Angeles home at dusk, overlooking a city that has seen him at his best and worst, he lights a cigarette and reflects on the wild journey so far. The love of his life? That answer seems more complicated than ever. But if there's one thing Ben has shown, it's that he's not afraid of sequels. His love life has been one epic saga after another. And who's to say the next plot twist isn't just around the corner? In Hollywood, after all, the story isn't over until the credits roll, and for Ben, it looks like there are still plenty of scenes left to play in this turbulent, tantalizing quest for lasting love.